Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time you're watching this. Happy Thanksgiving. Right here from BamaCentral, from the Joe Gaither Show, from me to you. Hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope you're enjoying some football, enjoying some family time. We appreciate anybody who's stepped away and joined us on this wonderful holiday. Or if you're outside of the United States and you just want to celebrate with us, that's A-OK with us. Welcome in. This is the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, listening to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. I, of course, am Joe Gaither. You can find me at Joe Gaither6 on all the social media machines, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, X, Snapchat, wherever you want to find us. Send us your comments, questions, queries, and complaints right there to us at Joe Gaither6, right? Or you can find us at BamaCentral anytime that you want to on the X machine, or at Alabama Crimson Tide on Sports Illustrated on Facebook, or you can find us at BamaCentral SI on Instagram as well. So we're going to have hopefully you're going to have a great Thanksgiving. We've had a fun week so far on the Joe Gaither Show. I hope you've been along for the ride to join us. If not, you can find us on any of those outlets that I just mentioned. Subscribe, rate, and review to the shows from any of those outlets, whichever is your preferred outlet. You can listen to our interview with Trevor Relaford from yesterday. We enjoyed spending time with really, is he a top 5 guard in Alabama history? I mean, look, Alabama basketball has had a lot of good guards. I mean, not good guards, but great guards. I mean, even just in the Nate Oates era, the Nate Oates into the Anthony Grant Avery Johnson, Anthony Grant era. I mean, Trevor Relaford was right here in that era. Kyron Lewis was right here in this recent era. J.D. Davison was right here in this era. If you haven't seen it, Javon Clinnerly is tearing it up for the Memphis Tigers in his, 7th, 8th year in college. Doesn't matter. We wish him well, watching him do very, very well. You're seeing lots of guards go into the NBA. Mo Williams did it before Trevor Relaford. We referenced him, and several other guards during Coach Sampson, Jason Caffey, several other of his guards went into the NBA as well. So we appreciate our time with Trevor Relaford yesterday. Maybe a top 5 guard in the program history. He is number 1 all time in steals, and was all SEC 4 times in a row, 2 times first team SEC, one time second team SEC, and 1 time all freshman team SEC. So appreciate him giving some of his time yesterday on the program. Once again, I encourage you to check it out on any of the other platforms if you missed it. All right, so what are we going to do today? It's Thursday. There's all the sports are going on. If you're watching the NFL, you got 3 different NFL games. You're watching Cowboys and Commanders getting ready for that game. You're watching probably the Lions and Packers getting ready for that game as well. Seahawks and 49ers in the final game of the evening, and I hope you enjoy those games. Or you're watching the Egg Bowl. Goodness gracious, cannot wait for the Egg Bowl tonight. You can find that, I believe, on ESPN. Egg Bowl, honestly, low-key the nastiest rivalry in the SEC. I know I'm supposed to say the Iron Bowl, and it is coming up in just a couple of days, and that is going to be the subject of our conversation today on the Joe Gaither Show, as well as hearing from Austin Bidwell. If you joined us live on the program on Tuesday, we are going to play our conversation with Austin Bidwell. He was a part of Mizzou Central, so we're going to play that at the end here as we close down Thanksgiving. But no, Egg Bowl. Oh my gosh. Egg Bowl is one of the nastiest rivalries, and maybe the nastiest rivalry in the SEC. Just doesn't get the notoriety that the Iron Bowl gets, and doesn't get the notoriety that, Auburn and Georgia get, because the teams aren't necessarily as good. Auburn, Georgia often fighting for position, in their respective divisions. Obviously, Alabama and Auburn, living right there in the state, have competed for the SEC West crown a bunch of different times. Same with Alabama and LSU. So those rivalries getting a lot more shine. Same with in the East, Georgia, Florida, that rivalry. But honestly, there may not be any better rivalry than the Egg Bowl. So if you're thinking about something to do, something to watch tonight, check out the Egg Bowl. Look, so Alabama basketball is taking on Ohio State on Friday. Let's start right there, just real quick, real brief. We talked to head coach Nate Oates yesterday in the Coleman Coliseum. Goodness gracious, no offense, Coach Oates, but the timing was not so friendly to the media folks, but that's A-okay. We appreciated your time and hope you got down to Destin safely. Coach is going to have a fun little weekend on his hands. He's got Ohio State and then the winner of Oregon and Santa Clara if he wins the game, and loser of Oregon Santa Clara if he loses the game. So he's going to have a fun little back-to-back, and ideally he wins the game because it will help you guys and myself watch both games because if he loses the game, the loser of the game tips off, I think, about 2:30 in the afternoon. Oh, right smack in the middle of Alabama and Auburn. And so, honestly, Coach Oates, we love you so very, very much, especially right here on the Joe Gaither Show. And I appreciate, I love Alabama basketball so very much. But nobody will be watching your loser's bracket game against either Santa Clara or Oregon, and I think you know that. He very much emphasized going 1-0 on Friday night, defeating Ohio State, the importance of defeating Ohio State, the importance of continuing to play strong defense, and the importance of carrying the lessons from these first four games. I mean, look, most of these teams were in the hundreds in KenPom. I think the highest one was Indiana State at 95 in KenPom, so most of these teams are much better than the competition that you're going to see going forward. Alabama at top 5? I think they're number 5 in KenPom. Ohio State at 51. So they're going to come in and give you better competition on Friday that you've seen at any point in this season. It's going to be important to carry. Look, if the shooting's not there on Friday night, that's okay. The shooting's not there. If you can hold a team to under 50, again, just like you did South Alabama. I know it was South Alabama. It's going to be a different competition level on Friday night, but if you can hold a team to, under 30%, if you can hold a team to right there under 0.8 points per possession, 0.75 points per possession, if you can hold a team under one of the great marks, and Coach Nate Oates talking about Alabama basketball in the 20s in basically net defense, and needs to get a lot higher as the season continues. So that's going to be the focus for Alabama basketball. But of course, you guys want to talk about the Iron Bowl, and that's exactly what we're here to do today. Oh my gosh, I have 3 keys to defeating Auburn. I've watched a good bit of Auburn film over the last couple of days. I watched their game with New Mexico. I watched their game with Arkansas. I watched their game with Ole Miss. I watched their game with LSU. I've watched a lot of Auburn tape, and goodness gracious, look, they're bad. They're a bad football team. They're just not a good football team. And whether you want to blame Hugh Freeze and his coaching and some of his decisions, and you can do that certainly game in and game out. Or if you wanted to blame the fact that they don't have a quarterback or don't have any playmaking receivers, you can do that if you want to do that. Really, they are not a good football team. And what they have shown this year is if they do not play at their pace, if they do not play at their own pace, then they are really struggling to stay in the game. Now Auburn, look, they're 6-4. They're 6-5. 6-5 on the season. This is going to make or break their season. You guys know that. Everybody knows that everybody knows the story. You lost to New Mexico State last week in a bye game, $1.8 million. We've already made fun of you on the Monday edition of the show, breaking down Chattanooga. We kind of already did the making fun of Auburn part. And so we're past all that. Look, you paid them $1.8 million. New Mexico State came in and beat your butt. But New Mexico State isn't the only team that's giving you kind of the big old can of whooping. New Mexico State's beating you. You lost to LSU. You lost to Ole Miss. You've lost to let's see. I just had it right there. Where was my Auburn Tigers sheet right there? Home. Yeah. You lost to Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, A&M, and obviously New Mexico State. So there's your 5. And then, I mean, honestly, you're going to get your butt kicked on Saturday. And so if you're waiting for my pick, there's my pick. Cat out of the bag. Look, last year's game when Alabama and Auburn collided, Everybody knew it was kind of the same situation. Brian Harsin was going to be out the door, lame duck coach. I don't think, obviously, look, Hugh Freeze is not a lame duck coach. Hugh Freeze is in his first year, and I think he's going to get many, many more years to rebuild the thing over at Auburn in the image of the family. But right now, their offense is completely broken. Their offense is completely broken. Look, they are what are they? Total offense. They're 87th in the country in total offense, averaging 357 yards per game. And Peyton Thorne, look, they haven't had a quarterback all year long. They've gone back and forth between Peyton Thorne, Robbie Ashford, a little bit of Holden Garner. They cannot throw the football to save their life. They're 119th in college football, 119th in college football, passing for 162 yards per game. And think about this. All right, Peyton Thorne, he's had a couple of games there. He's the price transfer out of Michigan State. He comes in here and he's going to, run the Hugh Freeze offense, and he's going to make everything A-okay. Look, the defense hasn't been horrible. The defense for Auburn, 45th in the nation. And, you beat Arkansas, you beat Mississippi State, you beat Vanderbilt, you got a couple of decent wins under your belt, just like that, 3 in a row. Obviously, you went out on the West Coast, you beat Cal, and, of course, you mopped the floor with UMass and Samford, just like you were supposed to. So the season's not going poorly. Oh, man. The quarterback issue you run into a big issue when you play these better teams like Texas A&M, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. And I guess you got to give New Mexico State credit as well, because their offense was able to put up a lot of points and basically drown you out in your own stadium and take $1.8 million as well. But look, Peyton Thorne. In his look, he started a handful of games. He's got 2 good games, really 3. He's got 3 good games. A game against Mississippi State where he passes for 230 yards. A game against Samford where he passes for 282 yards. And a game against Arkansas where the number isn't great, but he only passes for 163 yards, but he accounts for 4 total touchdowns, 3 passing and 1 rushing touchdown with 88 yards rushing. The big thing for Auburn is they have to run a lot of this quarterback run stuff throughout the entire season, and it just they haven't been able to find their guy because they can't throw the football either. I mean, you look at Peyton Thorne is second on the team in rushing with 463 yards. Robbie Ashford, 4th on the team in rushing. Like, Jarquez Hunter is supposed to be your superstar, only at 780 yards rushing, basically, and he's been a nice little player, but they don't really have a total package running the football, and Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford are mediocre at best at basically threatening your defense. So with that in mind, I've got 3 keys for Alabama's victory. Alabama at 2:30 on Saturday. BamaCentral will be there to cover it. We'll have Katie Wenham. We'll have Blake Byler. We'll have lots of guys in the press box. We'll have Matthew Gibson, I believe. We're going to have a packed and Austin Hannon, of course. We're going to have a packed press box on Saturday in Jordan-Hare Stadium. 2:30 in the afternoon. Follow us at BamaCentral. But 3 keys for Alabama winning. They're 14 and a half, 13 and a half point favorite, depending on where you look. And I like Alabama to cover it pretty easily. Number one, I've got this very interesting stat. Alabama and Auburn are both tied in the nation at 28th in what? What you think on it? What is Alabama 28th in the nation in? Auburn is also 28th in the nation in. 3, 2, 1. It's turnover margin. Both teams are stuck at 28th in the nation in turnover margin. Auburn has generated 3 more turnovers than the Alabama defense, but the Alabama offense has surrendered 3 fewer turnovers than the Auburn offense. So number 1 on my sheet is no turnovers. Look, this Auburn offense is not good. We just kind of went over it just a teeny tiny bit, and I've got more on my sheets if you want to go over that as we continue here talking Alabama and Auburn in the Iron Bowl. No, the biggest deal, you don't want to give them many favorites. They're not good. You want to end every drive in a kick. Now, look, they've only had I think I just had it. They've only had where's my turnover margin? Right, OPQRST turnover margin right there, 28. Yeah, they've only had Auburn opposing intercept turnovers lost. Yeah, they've only thrown 9 interceptions through the entire year. But the thing is, their passing game is so underneath. Everything is, the Hugh Freeze offense. The Hugh Freeze offense is out to the swing pass to the running back, swing pass to the wide receiver, right, 4 or 5 yard pass right underneath to the sticks. Let them see if they can make a play down the field, catching the ball and then turning and running. The Hugh Freeze offense, they cannot throw the football down the field to save their lives. And so Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford really haven't even tried to do that, at least in the games that I have noticed, hence why their passing numbers are so poor. It's Peyton Thorne on the year, 1,500 yards passing. 1,500 bleeping yards passing. Come on, that's not going to get it done. You look at Robbie Ashford, he only has 145 yards passing, but he's played in a couple fewer games. He's played in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games on the season. Peyton Thorne, 1,500 yards, not that good. 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. You win the turnover battle on Saturday. You make him march the field. You don't give him look. And Jalen Milroe has done a pretty nice little job of it since the Texas game. I know that you got a bad turnover in the end zone against Ole Miss. You got a bad turnover in the end zone against Tennessee. Let's see. I guess you got a bad fumble against Tennessee as well. You got a bad sack fumble against Tennessee, but no turnovers against LSU, knock on wood. And 1 turnover against Kentucky, but it was at midfield, right? Okay, so it was at midfield. My point being this is Jalen Milroe's turnovers since the Texas game has not set the defense up with a short field. In the Texas game, you set up the Longhorns with 2 very short fields. One, they cashed in for a touchdown like 2 plays later. One was early in the game that the defense held for a field goal, but still, you spotted them 10 points, and we've gone over it before. How much did Alabama lose to Texas by? Hello, 10 points. So you cannot turn the football over. You got to make Auburn march the field on Saturday in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I think that the Alabama defense is outstanding. It's been playing outstanding and is playing with a lot of confidence. And so you want to take advantage of that and give them a lot of field to defend. And that brings me into what I think the defense will look like. Look, Auburn's going to try to run the ball a lot because they know they cannot throw the ball. And I think that just like last year where Auburn ran the football for, what do I have this? Yeah, 318 yards last year. 318 yards last year, but they lost the football game 49-27. And I could hear Alabama fans crying and really getting upset that Auburn ran for 300 yards. Well, hello, they lost by 22 points. It was a comfortable margin. Alabama blew them out of the water. Alabama was up 35-14 at halftime. The game was basically over. The second half was all but exhibition. You won the second half 14-13, so you coasted. I mean, sure, they rushed for 300 yards. Great. Jarquez Hunter, 134 yards. Robbie Ashford had himself a good little day. And it was a lot of scrambles. And I would expect the exact same sort of game to happen this coming up weekend. But what happened on third down? Auburn was 4-14 on third down. I think a huge stat in this game is going to be third down percentage, third down to conversion. If Alabama, you get that first down run, you make it 2nd and 6 because they're going to run the football. You get it to 2nd and 6, you stop them, you get it to 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5, you're making them think about throwing the football. 3rd and 6, you're making them think about throwing the football. Auburn has a third down conversion rate of 33% in the country so far this season. Good enough, 110th in the nation. You want to know where Alabama is on the other side of the football converting on third down? 7th in the country. 50%. Alabama converting on 50% of its third down attempts so far this season. Now, Auburn's defense preventing, they're only allowing 30% converting. So on defense, Auburn's third down rate is pretty good getting off the field. But subsequently, on the other side, staying on the field, keeping drives alive, Auburn has been horrible, only going for 33%. And so really, it's going to be crucial for Alabama to get Auburn into passing situations. That's my number three key to the game. My number 2 key to the game that I kind of skipped over because that's how we do things on the Joe Gaither Show is starting fast. You look at Auburn's losses this year to LSU. You look at Auburn's losses to LSU and to Texas A&M. They got blown. They got blown right off the field. Now they stayed in the game with Georgia. They got up 10-0 on the Georgia Bulldogs. Got some confidence at home, and it took a pretty nice little effort from Brock Bowers and Carson Beck to bring the Bulldogs back and win that ball game. But against LSU, LSU came out, and of course, yes, they were at home, but they beat the brakes off of them right off the bat. They were up 21-0. Then against A&M, the A&M scores on their first 2 drives. Yes, they're field goals, but they get up 6-0. They shut them out basically through the first half. Then in the second half, they score their first 2 drives. They go 14-0. Right out of the gate. So right out of the first half and right out of the second half, Alabama's got to do a good job jumping on the Tigers and taking the will out of Jordan-Hare Stadium. Look, we all know it's a tough place to play. Coach Saban talked about it on his edition of Hey Coach, and you can hear him each and every time on Crimson Tide Sports Network, and you can read about it on BamaCentral.com. We reviewed that last night. They recorded Hey Coach last night because of the Thanksgiving holiday. And once again, we hope you guys are having a great Thanksgiving. But no, Coach Saban saying, yes, I know that funny things happen, but he doesn't believe in voodoo. He doesn't believe in weirdness or, Auburn magic, Auburn Jesus. You hear all the phrases that I disagree with. It makes my stomach turn. I feel like, Coach Saban explained it pretty well. The better team pretty much has always won in all of these games. Even in the kick 6 game, Alabama had the ball, in the red zone, in the red area with many opportunities to score and walked away empty, resorting to what was that 58, 55-yard field goal that ultimately ended up sealing Alabama's fate. And so, yeah, you get the memorable play, the kick 6 play, but Auburn basically kicked your butt in the second half of that ball game. I think it's really going to take, Alabama needs to just get physical up front. Auburn's defense is not bad. They're not great. They're not bad. They're 45th in the country in total yards given up, allowing 353 yards per game. They're giving up 156 yards on the ground. So right at 78, good enough for 78th in the country. So that's not good. Come on, this is not a good team. They're 6-5 for a reason. They're getting dictated to, and they just lost to New Mexico State. Now, you cannot fall in the trap that, they lost to New Mexico State, so we can take it easy, we can take it lightly. No. Because Hugh Freeze is not going anywhere. Hugh Freeze isn't going anywhere. Here's the deal. If you have a mutiny going on, because Hugh Freeze the whole year has been saying, we got to do a good job on the transfer portal. We got to do a good job recruiting and getting better players in here. I wonder, going back to an earlier conversation, 2-3 days ago, talking about Kentucky and Colorado as well. I wonder if Hugh Freeze rubbing off on his players, saying we got to get better players in here, more talented players. I wonder if that's rubbed off on them, and I wonder if they're starting to quit on this season. I mean, you're 6-5. You're looking at a Liberty Bowl bid. You might, you're not going to do much better than that. Look, if you beat Alabama, that makes your season. So they're going to come out swinging. But if you get it knocked in the teeth 21-0, this isn't your Cam Newton. This isn't your Cam Newton Auburn team that goes down 24-0 at halftime and comes out and puts on one of the greatest all-time, literally the greatest comeback I've ever seen in my entire life. Beating Alabama right here in Bryant-Denny Stadium in 2010. But that Auburn team had so much to play for. I think this is going to look a lot like last year's game. What's the 2011 Iron Bowl? Hold on. Alabama, Auburn, Wikipedia. I think this is going to be a double-digit win for the Crimson Tide. I think it's going to be, the last time, Auburn, 42-14 was the last big-time win that you had in Auburn. You go down the list in 2013 in Auburn. Auburn wins. Auburn wins 34-28. My dyslexia getting after me. In 2015, Alabama wins 29-13. So close to the game. That's a 16-point margin. 2017, obviously, we just referenced that, the kick 6 right there. Oh, no, the kick six is 2013. Duh, Joe. No, 2017 is 26-14. Jalen Hurts can't get anything going and gets beat down on the point, loses by 12. You have a Papanassus kick, I think, that goes awry in that game. So 2017, you have a 12-point game, 12-point loss. And then in 2019, Auburn wins again. That's your Mac Jones, 2 interceptions, one off the back of Najee Harris, goes for 100 yards, 48-45. You got a close win, 24-22. That's your Bryce Young double overtime. Your last big game, your last big win is that 2011 win, 42-14. I wrote down before tonight, I wrote down 49-21. I wrote down 49-21 because I feel like this Alabama offense is going to be able to stay methodically on schedule and be able to, protect the football. I think they are going to, they've gotten to a level of confidence where, all right, you might have some false starts. You might have some, you might have some problems early on in the game, but let this team get its legs underneath it. Let this team get a feel for the game. Let James Burnham punt the football away if you have to punt the football away and allow, look, this Auburn offense is one-dimensional as all get out. They can always run the football. So what you need to do is in the first two, first down, second down, load up, prevent, Jarquez Hunter from getting going. Robbie Ashford ain't no threat to run the football. Peyton Thorne ain't no threat to run the football. Yeah, they've done it through the season, but they're not going. You're not talking about high quality SEC level runners here from the quarterback position, and that's been the problem for this Auburn offense all season long. They haven't been able to get anything going, and they cannot. Their intermediate to deep passing game is horrid. Their deep passing game especially, but their intermediate game is fine, man. And then their short game is just so predictable by now. You're what, 10, 11 games in the season. You pretty much know what's coming. And so, look, New Mexico State out-hustled Auburn on their own field. I think that Alabama, with a lot more to play for, is going to out-hustle Auburn on its own home field as well. And so, once again, my keys for the game are no turnovers for Alabama, starting fast, and winning the passing downs. One more thought on starting fast. Alabama, the last couple of weeks, you had the huge start against Chattanooga. Look, I know it's Chattanooga, and I roll my eyes at it just like you do, but you also have the huge quick start against Kentucky as well. And so you got to admire that. That's pretty nice. You got out to a nice little lead. You put Kentucky into a hole. They never were in the ball game. You got a nice start against LSU. I mean, LSU, outside of the first drive where you punted the ball away, LSU, you matched them score for score in the first half. And then really through the second half as well. You got a little fortunate with with obviously the big break on the interception and the short field. That changed the game. But the Alabama offense has started quickly each of the last 3 times out to the field. Okay, yes. The Tennessee game was rough. Obviously, you go into halftime with the deficit. What were you down 2013, 20-6 in that game. And so, look, the Alabama offense, since that moment, you came out in the second half, you go 2 plays, you get a touchdown. The Alabama offense has basically found a sense of urgency since really going into the locker room at halftime against Tennessee. And so you want to hold on to that sense of urgency? Yeah, I know it was just Kentucky. I know it was just Chattanooga. And I know the LSU defense is very bad. Well, the Auburn offense ain't world beaters. Now, they're better than the last 3 teams you played defensively. They are. And so give them credit that way. But Tommy Rees has found some nice little buttons, some nice little methods of getting different players the ball. And I really like what Alabama is doing running the football. Look, you want to see more Justice Haynes? I get it. You want to see more Jam Miller? I get it. But Jace McClellan and Roy Dell have carried the load throughout the entire season. You've gotten Kendrick Law involved. You've gotten Isaiah Bond involved. You've gotten Jalen Milroe involved. And so now the Alabama offense is coming at you from multiple different ways, and you've created multiple different simple ways for Jalen Milroe to read a defense. Now, is Jalen Milroe a perfect quarterback? Absolutely not. No, he's not Bryce Young, but through the multiple weapons and through the confidence the offensive line has gained, you have established multiple quick reads, multiple quick decisions that Jalen Milroe can make, thus freeing his mind and making him much more effective as a quarterback. So once again, my 3 keys for the game are no turnovers for Alabama, starting fast, winning the passing downs, and so I think Alabama will win 49-21 because I think you're going to get my bold take for the game. My bold take for the game is Alabama will have 2 interceptions on defense, whether it'll be Caleb Downs or Terrion Arnold or maybe Deontay Lawson on a tip ball. I think you're going to have 2 interceptions for Alabama on Saturday. I think Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford are going to be under a lot of heat. And going to throw up a couple of lame ducks for Alabama's defense to feast on, thus creating a big old blowout for the Alabama Crimson Tide, keeping the momentum going into Atlanta. So that's going to do it for my portion of the program today. I'm turning it over to our conversation that I had on the show with Austin Bidwell. Austin Bidwell works with MizzouCentral.com, one of our brother-sister sites. You can check out MizzouCentral.com anytime you like. They're covering all things Missouri, just like BamaCentral is covering all things University of Alabama. They're doing it with the Missouri Tigers, so they're trying to go things. And so I'm going to turn it over. Well, before I turn it over to my segment with Austin Bidwell, it is Thanksgiving, and I do want to say a quick thank you to everybody who supported me throughout really my entire media career, but this year in particular. This year has been quite a challenge for myself. I changed from my first job in media to my second job in media. I'm very, very thankful to you, Chris Walsh, for giving me an opportunity here at BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. I appreciate you letting me write on the websites as well. So anybody who's reading my work at BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com, I appreciate you. Anybody who's watching the shows, if you subscribed, if you've rated, if you've reviewed, if you've left a comment, whether it's positive or negative or funny or not funny or mean or nice, I really don't care. Honestly, I'm thankful for you as well. Any interaction that you have, any criticisms, any comments, any encouragement, whatever you have. We've had a lot of great interactions so far through the almost 7 months that I've been with BamaCentral.com. So I really appreciate everybody who's made the show what they've made it so far. I plan on hopefully having a big, second year. This has been a huge project. We are working to make it better each and every day. And I appreciate everybody who stands by me. I appreciate Mom and Dad. I love you guys. I'm eating with you guys now as we speak. And everybody who's listened and commented and sent me a message. You can always follow me at Joe Gaither 6 on any of your social media platforms of choice: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat. And we can talk sports. We can talk life. We can talk whatever you want to right there at Joe Gaither 6. And then, of course, you can subscribe, rate, and review the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on Amazon. Subscribe to BamaCentral's YouTube channel. You'll never miss a single episode. I'm thankful for you guys, the viewers, so the most, because without you, I'd have nothing. And you guys make this thing so much fun and possible each and every day. So I appreciate you guys the most. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Hope you're eating a lot of food. I hope you're getting geared up for the Iron Bowl. Share this episode with a friend. On Friday, we're going to have Football Friday. We're going to have Football Friday with, I believe, Katie Wyndham and Austin Hannon. We're going to have Football Friday with some other jokers. I don't know who else is going to jump around and join us. But we will have a fun episode on Friday breaking down the Iron Bowl and all the other SEC games on board. Will Alabama get its chaos? Will Alabama get its help this weekend? You'll see Ohio State and Michigan going at it at 11 a.m. on Saturday. We'll talk about it on Football Friday coming up on tomorrow's episode of the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. Coming up right here is Austin Bidwell of Mizzou Central and MizzouCentral.com joining me on Tuesday to talk about the Tigers. Good morning, afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How are we doing today on a beautiful Tuesday? This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com, and it is time. We are doing our Mizzou Central mix-up today on a beautiful Tuesday, and today we're welcoming in Austin Bidwell from Mizzou Central. Of course, we always cover all things Alabama right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. But we're spreading our wings just a little bit. We're getting a little Mizzou Central mix-up and Cowbell Corner. We're having a little Cowbell Corner segment as well. Cowbell Corner crossover as well. We'll do that tomorrow with Kinsey Bradenbury. But today we're doing our Mizzou Central mix-up with Austin Bidwell. You can find him on the Twitter machine at Austin from KC on X/Twitter. Follow all his coverage from MizzouCentral.com. Austin, how are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, having a great day, doing well so far, enjoying the week. It's rivalry week, and for Mizzou, that means Arkansas. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Missouri keeps their excellent, their dream season going by beating Florida 33-31. Okay, from the outside in looking in, what the heck happened? Mizzou, you're supposed to beat Florida by a lot. They stink. No defense. Both teams over 500 yards. What happened in the ball game besides the walk-off field goal?
I mean, stylistically, this matchup is never going to be good for Mizzou. Mizzou, if you look at them all season, they've struggled with mobile quarterbacks. They've struggled with quarterbacks that can get out of the pocket. You look at Jaden Daniels. You look at, all these quarterbacks that Mizzou has played. The ones they've really struggled with are the ones that have the ability to extend the play, the ones to move out of the pocket. And we saw that with Graham Mertz a little bit, but we really saw that is when Florida's backup quarterback had to come in. And when we saw that Mizzou was unable to keep him in the pocket and unable to stop him from, having these little option plays where he would fake to the running back, everyone would commit, and he would leak out, or either they would all zone in on him and the running back would be gone. And, I think that that's going to be something that Mizzou has to work on in the offseason, and something that coming to this game, we all knew that Mizzou was going to struggle with these mobile quarterbacks and struggle with these plays. And I think that it really showed that it's not something you can just keep ignoring, and it's not something that you can just not think about. And that's really what hurt Mizzou. And that's why the game was as close as it was. It was just a bad stylistic matchup for the Tigers. And I think that you can expect to see that more if Mizzou has to play with or against mobile quarterbacks.
All right, so Missouri end up winning. Contextualize this season. Obviously it's not the 14 and 15, the 14 and 15 seasons where Missouri wins the SEC East, but it's been a hot minute since Missouri's been relevant in the SEC to this level. What's the significance of this season?
I would even maybe go as far to argue that this season is just as significant as those SEC East, winning seasons, because this program, recently has not been something that, when recruits look at Mizzou before this season, they're not looking at a team that's going to go and compete in the SEC. But what Drinkwitz has been building at Mizzou, and what these recruits are now saying is they're saying that this is a team that's going to go out there and compete, this is a team that's going to go out there and win, and beat the best of the best. So this season, while it's been, maybe not the exact thing they hoped for in terms of, winning the SEC East and then contending for the college football playoffs, this is an extremely important season in the future in building this program for the coaches. Coming to this season, people would have maybe said that Drink was on the hot seat. Drink needed to prove himself. Coach Drinkwitz needed to, show something. And I think that he has, and I think the recruits have taken notice. Just recently there was a commit from Colorado that flipped to Mizzou. It's because people are seeing that these games and these wins are important to recruits, and I think that's what's going to build for the future for those seasons that you can contend for the SEC East.
All right, Austin, we're talking to Austin Bidwell of MizzouCentral.com on the Mizzou Central mix-up right here on the Joe Gaither Show. All right, so I'm looking at bowl projections, and recent one that I'm looking at right here, USA Today, Cotton Bowl for Missouri. Cotton Bowl against Texas? Oh, you're leaving Texas out of the college football playoff in that scenario, and that's a different discussion. But how would Missouri fans feel with, okay, maybe Drinkwitz is on the hot seat to, we're going to the Cotton Bowl?
Yeah, Mizzou fans should be thrilled. And they, this is something that the team has been looking for since those seasons. And the whole, Missouri has, embraced Drinkwitz. I think that the fan base has really grabbed onto him. I'm not even sure before the season that he was on the hot seat with the fans. I think that it was always more of the, the school itself. But, when you see his wins and the fans have really built around him, it's been great. And when you talk about something like the Cotton Bowl versus Texas, after coming off of a year where you were fighting for bowl eligibility at the end of the season, it's really something that's been special for the program as a whole. And, fans are just going to keep latching on to drink and keep latching on to the personalities in this program. So when you really talk about something that special in a game that big, it's something that's really exciting for this program.
Well, he's really fun coach. He's a really fun coach to follow and to pay attention to just because of kind of maybe his quirkiness per se. So I've enjoyed watching Drinkwitz from afar, and I've enjoyed what he's done at Missouri. I think a lot of people might have written him off a little too early, too soon. What's the key to keeping it going? Brady Cook is just a junior. And he's not really an NFL type prospect at the moment. Now, maybe could develop into that, but at the moment, not really looking like he's an early entry candidate. What's the key to keeping it going? I mean, you want to get Brady Cook a senior year, and then what? And what else for looking at 2024?
I mean, when you look forward, you see that Mizzou is going to return a lot of their great players. I mean, they'll lose some, of course. They'll lose Chris Havens drain in the offseason. They'll lose, some big pieces, but the main pieces on this team are here to stay. Luther Burden is going to play another year. He's just going to continue to get better. If we see a leap similar to his freshman to sophomore year, he's going to be the best receiver in the country if he isn't already. If we see another leap like that in the next year, and Brady Cook, his transition from last year to this year has just been. It's been tremendous after his shoulder surgery. He's really came out and proved that he's a quarterback that can and should start in the SEC and can and should start for this Missouri team. And it really starts with them too. Of course, the recruiting, as I was talking about earlier, is going to play a big part. 5-star commits Williams Nawari comes in next year. He is going to be an absolute unit on the defensive line. And it's just the ability to keep recruiting and keep bringing in players with immense talent, keep bringing in players that buy into the system, and keep bringing in players who can help you win football games. And I think that's something that Drink has done extremely well over his seasons at Mizzou, is the ability to bring in players and it be a next guy up system. Missouri, the last 2 or 3 years in the SEC, has had the leading rusher because of the ability to bring in guys. You had Tyler Beatty in this year. Of course, you have Cody Schrader. And when you really talk about the ability to replace someone like Tyler Beatty with a guy like Cody Schrader, it just shows the fact that this Missouri team can scout. They can find players that nobody else thinks are going to be, the next big guy, and they can turn them into pieces that help this team win. And in order to keep going over the next few seasons, you're not going to have the recruiting prowess of course, an Alabama or of a Georgia, just based off of team history. But the ability to find players and diamonds in the rough, if you will, is going to be something that's going to help this team down the line into future seasons for sure.
All right, so 9-1, having a great season so far. Top 10 season so far. You cannot let Arkansas spoil the good vibes. What's going to be the what's on deck with Arkansas this weekend?
Yeah, and I mean I think it's a very similar situation to Florida. KJ Jefferson, I think, is going to have a great game. I think KJ Jefferson is the type of quarterback that Missouri does not want to play. They don't want to go against the guy who can take off and run and can also throw the ball 50 yards down the field, because he's a great player, and Arkansas, is not having a good season. It's bad this year for them. And Mizzou has a history of beating Arkansas. Mizzou has, come out and they've put on paper that they know it's a rivalry. They think it's a rivalry. We don't care if you think it's a rivalry. And that's what Missouri is saying right now. And they're going to come out and they're going to prove it. And I think that they really have to contain KJ Jefferson. They have to continue to get their offense going. Look at Cody Schrader early to, set the tone early, try to win in the trenches, and just try to, play physical. Don't allow for these trick plays, these plays where the quarterback gets outside the pocket and extends the play, because that's where you lose to a team like Arkansas. And that's really where the upsets happen.
All right, Austin, you got any big Black Friday plans? I don't know if a lot of people realize it, but this game, Missouri and Arkansas, is on Friday at 3 p.m. Central. So you let the family, the sisters, the girlfriend, the wives, the mothers, cousins all go shopping, and you're standing around watching football, right?
Absolutely. I'm gonna have to. That's gonna be a really important game for the program. So you're gonna have to tune in, regardless of whether you think it's gonna be a big win or a close game, just because of how pivotal this game can be in Mizzou trajectory towards the future. Because you win this game, you're finishing the season 10-2 or 9-2, heading into bowl games. And if you lose this, it's a 9-3 or an 8-3 season heading into a bowl game, which is it's fine, but it's not how the fans and the coaching
10
staff.
and 2 is a whole lot better.
It is a whole lot better, especially when you're playing in a New Year's Six Bowl compared to not playing in a New Year's Six Bowl. So, I mean, I'm going to be watching the game, and I think that everyone else who follows Mizzou football should be tuned into this one.
All right, Austin, tell me a little bit about yourself and about what's going on at Mizzou Central before we talk about basketball.
Yeah, I mean, so I am a freshman here at Mizzou. Yes, I'm from KC. As the Twitter name would suggest, Kansas City. Just kind of getting into it. I found a really good team. Mizzou Central, the team is amazing. I can't express enough. Joey, Chase, all of these great writers. Quentin is coming on the staff next semester, and it's all headed by Chris is a great guy to lead the charge, and I think that we're really building something special over there, and I think it's something that as proven success as you could see at BamaCentral. Great site, great content, and I think that's what we're trying to do over here. And we're really just trying to, make something that's enjoyable to everyone who wants to read, everyone who wants to listen, because it's our passion, and it's something that we're really excited about.
Well, Austin, what's going to be maybe your lane or some of the lanes that you hope to carve out with Mizzou Central? Football, basketball, recruiting, or something different? High school sports? What's going to be like the Austin Bidwell? This is the path that I dominate.
Yeah, so recently I've been doing a lot of football, and I will tell you that's definitely my main and favorite sport when it comes to college athletics. I really do love basketball. I'm covering a little bit of basketball from Mizzou Central, but really just football. And look for me to, when the draft starts rolling around, we start getting into a little bit of the past season, start doing some, projections in the draft and NFL fits for, Mizzou players and talking about where they're going to go to the NFL, because I think that that's going to be a very, fun thing to look at after the season, because Mizzou usually doesn't have this many NFL ready guys. So, hopefully to cover a little bit of that, keep up with football, and then you might see me on some basketball.
Well, let's flip to basketball real quick. I appreciate your time. We're talking to Austin Bidwell of MizzouCentral.com for the Mizzou Central mix-up on the Joe Gaither Show. Missouri basketball started off the year okay-ish, a bit up and down. Had a weird year. 3-2. You beat Minnesota on a big old comeback. You lost to Memphis in kind of blowout fashion. But then Monday, Sunday night, you lost to Jackson State. So what's going on with Dennis Gates' program? Because I walked into the season thinking Dennis Gates, dark horse, sleeper for an SEC title. Yeah, the talent may not be the same talent that Texas A&M, Tennessee, Arkansas, or even Alabama has, but I think Dennis Gates is a hell of a coach. So what's going on with a 3-2 start with South Carolina State coming to Columbia tomorrow?
Yeah, so and I mean, you go back to Dennis Gates. Dennis Gates, regardless of how the season played out, is a hell of a coach. He's proved that, and he has been great for this team. I don't think that there is a more loved figure in Columbia, Missouri right now than Dennis Gates. You can ask any of the students, anyone, they love Dennis Gates. And I think that, as this team continues to gel, they will get better over time. You can expect them to get better. You can expect them going into conference play to look better. But it's hard to win games when you don't have a true number one guy. Sean East has been great this season. Do not get me wrong. He has been phenomenal. But when you look at what really led this team last year, is you had a guy night in and night out that could go in and give you what you needed to win the game. You had a Kobe Brown. You had a Demoy Hodge. You had all of these guys who were NBA level players and just had the ability to go out there and win you games. Missouri right now doesn't truly have that number one guy. They don't truly have the guy that's going to go out there and win you games. And when you really look at the game they had against Jackson State, as well as the game, maybe against Memphis, you see that Missouri's inability to guard at the guard position is really what is hurting them. Jackson State's guard had 20 points. He came into the game averaging just 10, went for 20. And things like that may seem subtle, he had a good game. He had a good game, 10 points above, blah, blah, blah. That's when you lose games, is when you allow for players, every single player on their team, to do a little more than they usually do, and for them to come out and do a little better than they usually do, because Mizzou's guard defense isn't there. They're getting beat up in the paint, and to really put it together, they need to create efficient shots. That's what they were so good at last year. They shot the three just as much as anyone else in the country, but they were good at shooting the three. They were efficient with their shots. Coming into this year, they haven't really been efficient with their shooting. They've had nights like the one against Memphis where they just went ice cold from the field and nothing could help them that night. And I think that's kind of what we saw against Jackson State, a better offensive output. But again, you should not be hanging with teams like Jackson State, who has yet to win a game coming in coming into the contest, and you should be an SEC contender.
All right, I'm going to be a little selfish here, and you brought up Kobe Brown. Kobe Brown's from Huntsville, Alabama, right up the road, maybe two hours away. So he's moved on for the program, but Missouri still has Caleb Brown, who is Kobe's younger brother. Tell us about Caleb Brown. It doesn't look like, from what I can see, that he's been contributing yet so far. 6'7" guard, 250, also from Huntsville. So I'm going to be a little selfish asking about an Alabama guy. What's Caleb Brown? What's his story? What's his situation? How does he fit into this Tigers team?
Yeah, I mean, we really haven't seen much from Caleb Brown yet. And that's something that I hope we see more going down. This season, we haven't really seen the output from him. But I think that he could be that guy like Kobe. He, again, 6'7" guard is something that is going to be really great for this team. If, he can develop, he can get in there, and he can start, playing like Kobe. Hopefully that's the goal for this, for Dennis Gates and this Tigers team, is to, have him be a leader down the stretch. And I think that we will see that again as this team, blends more, finds their identity, and finds their ability to, go out there and win games. But, maybe he's the guy that this team needs to step up and go out there and prove that he can take over the squad and take over the games.
Well, Austin, it's been a lot of fun, man. I hope you have a great day. Tell everybody what is on deck with what's a Missouri Thanksgiving like? How's it different from anywhere else? I'm sure it's the exact same: ham, turkey, mac and cheese, stuffing. What's going to be on the Austin Bidwell Thanksgiving spread?
Yeah, absolutely. Early morning, you always got to go out, play some football with the fam. That's the number one. Eat a lot of food, a lot of food. I'm a big pecan pie guy. Might have to put a few slices away myself. That's probably my go-to Thanksgiving dessert, but I'm definitely ham over turkey guy. That's where it's at.
Well, I'm with you on that as well. So Austin Bidwell, Missouri Central, joins us for the Mizzou Central Mix-Up right here on the Joe Gaither Show. Make sure you follow him at Austin from KC on Twitter/X. He's just getting going with Missouri Central. You'll be able to follow all kinds of football, basketball, and many other sports right there with MizzouCentral.com and Austin Bidwell and their great team. We had Joey Van Zimmeren last week. We had Austin Bidwell today. You never know who else is going to come up with the Mizzou Central Mix-Up. We'll find out next week on the program. Austin, enjoy your Thanksgiving and MIZ.
See you.
There we go. Austin Bidwell joining us for the Mizzou Central Mix-Up, and we'll be back with more of the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.